Welcome to Events That Shaped the World, where we examine the moments that changed history. In our second series, The Revolution That Changed Everything, we unpack what happened, why it happened, and how it reshaped politics, economies, and everyday life across the globe. Our second episode in this series explores the post-Iranian Revolution of 1979 and the never-ending conflicts. All right. Let's get right into it. We're going to break down one of the most complex, long-running conflicts on the planet. For more than 40 years, the tension between Iran and the West has been a constant, sometimes simmering just below the surface, other times threatening to boil over. And to really understand where things are and where they could go, we're going to start at the end, with the most explosive outcome imaginable. So picture this. It's March 2026. This isn't a shadow war anymore. Decades of proxy fights and covert ops have finally erupted into open warfare. And the heart of it all is Tehran. And then the news breaks. And it is absolutely stunning. A decapitation strike, a precise, calculated attack aimed right at the top, has taken out Iran's most powerful leader. The immediate result, of course, is chaos. But the real question, the one everyone is asking, is how on earth did it ever come to this? To get that answer, we've got to trace it all back to the original spark. We'll look at the massive turning point in 1979, see how the fight escalated from proxy battles to direct war, and we'll really dissect that theoretical final strike. Then we'll look at the huge economic shockwaves, and finally stare into the completely uncertain future that a move like this would create. So let's rewind the clock way back to 1979. It's kind of hard to imagine now, but before this year, Iran was not an enemy of the United States. In fact, it was one of Washington's most important allies in the entire Middle East. But then one single event happened that changed, well, everything. I mean, look at this. The Iranian Revolution wasn't just a change of leadership. It was a complete 180-degree flip. You had a 2,000-year-old monarchy led by the Shah, who was really pushing for Western-style reforms. That was completely swept away. And what replaced it? The Islamic Republic under Ayatollah Khomeini, a religious government built on the idea of being completely independent from and hostile to the West, especially the US, which they famously called the Great Satan. And all of this happened incredibly fast. Riots kicked off in early 1978 and grew into a massive national movement. By January of '79, the Shah was gone. A month later, Khomeini comes back from exile and is treated like a hero. By April, it's official. And just like that, a key ally for the US and the region was gone, replaced by a revolutionary new government on a direct collision course with America. So this bad blood that started in '79 just simmered for decades. For the longest time, it was a war fought in the shadows, through other groups and covert operations. But recently, that started to change in a big way. The fight started to come out from behind the curtain and into the open, and you can really see how things climbed step by step. For years, Iran fought indirectly through its axis of resistance, this whole network of allied militias across the Middle East. Then, tensions got a lot worse when the US pulled out of that 2015 nuclear deal, the JCPOA, which led Iran to start enriching uranium again. That all led to a major shift in 2024, when Iran and Israel hit each other's territory directly for the first time ever. And, in our hypothetical timeline, that boils over into this 12-day war in 2025. A short, brutal fight that set a very dangerous new precedent. And even that really brief 12-day war gave everyone a scary look at the economic price tag. We're talking nearly $6 billion for Israel's economy. That's about 1% of their entire GDP, gone in less than 2 weeks of fighting. It showed that the cost of war isn't just military, it's a massive economic hit. And really, that was just a warm-up. Like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this to refresh your memories on the events that shaped the world. Which brings us back to our scenario's climax in March 2026, a joint US-Israeli campaign called Operation Epic Fury. And this wasn't designed to just damage Iran's military. It was designed to shatter its leadership completely. So what was Operation Epic Fury? Well, the goal was simple and absolutely brutal: to paralyze Iran's entire military and political command in one single, overwhelming attack. This wasn't about a ground invasion, it was about using air power and intelligence to, essentially, cut the head off the snake with the belief that the body would fall. And what's just incredible here is the sheer level of coordination. This wasn't just dropping a few bombs, it was like a symphony of modern warfare. You had CIA intelligence getting the exact location, Mossad reportedly hacking into city traffic cameras to track the movements of bodyguards. Cell service was deliberately jammed to stop any warnings from getting out. And all of that was just to clear a path for advanced US bombers to hit reinforced targets as part of a huge air campaign that struck almost every part of the country. Now, a war of this scale is never just contained to one area. The consequences are felt everywhere, in stock markets, at your local gas pump, in the halls of governments all across the world. And the first, most immediate impact was on the one thing the global economy cannot live without: oil. The reaction from the energy markets was pure panic. Oil prices more than doubled right after the strikes began. It was a shock that felt a lot like the oil crises of the 1970s. And it just proves how a conflict in the Middle East can bring the global economy to its knees. Even after the fighting stops in this scenario, you see prices stay dangerously high. So why the panic? It really just comes down to geography. The Strait of Hormuz. It's this one narrow little waterway, a critical choke point. About a fifth of the entire world's oil supply has to pass through it every single day. So any disruption there, let alone a war closing it down, is a catastrophic threat to the global economy. And in response to the strikes, Iran lashed out. They didn't just target the US or Israel, they went after the energy supplies of their neighbors. In Qatar, one of the world's biggest natural gas exporters, production just stopped. In Saudi Arabia, the huge Ras Tanura oil facility got shut down. Even oil fields in Iraq were hit. That ripple effect was quickly turning into a tidal wave. Like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this to refresh your memories on the events that shaped the world. So, after the initial shock of the decapitation strike starts to wear off, the result isn't a quick victory or a surrender. It's a massive power vacuum. Iran and the rest of the world are left just staring into this huge void with no idea what happens next. Inside Iran, it is chaos. An interim council tries to take charge, but they could not convene in one place for fear of Israel's attack. The system itself was cracking. But outside Iran, the response is much more predictable. Iran's proxies, that axis of resistance, they don't wait for new orders. They just lash out immediately, ramping up attacks against Israel. And in this scenario, the American response is crystal clear. No negotiations, no off-ramps, no deals. The demand is simple: total, unconditional surrender from whatever's left of the Iranian regime. It sets an incredibly high bar for ever ending the conflict. In the midst of all this chaos, Iran was defiant, and the council was able to convene and elect a new leader, the son of the late Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei. He was seen as the best successor. However, his family was wiped out by the Israel-US-led bombing on March 1st, 2026. We are not far from saying there could be bad blood lucking around somewhere. And so this brings us back to the huge, profound, and pretty unsettling question at the heart of all this. What comes next? Does a strike like this actually lead to the collapse of the regime? Or does it just trigger an even wider war that pulls in the entire region? Could something completely new and maybe even more unpredictable rise up from the ashes? This speculative future, which is born from a very real 40-year-long conflict, well, it offers no easy answers at all. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.